at any time for either one of you, was a strategic on the table as far as that you may want to go that route, or was it always private equity? I want to get under the bite of the apple.
I can
talk
real quick. So I definitely had strategics at the table.
Yeah.
These were larger rental companies. They wanted to take it. They loved what we were doing. They loved our model. But the thing about that was then they basically take over the company.
Yeah.
I become an employee, and I work for them.
Yeah.
Versus the private equity side, when I saw that path, I wanted to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I loved it, and I love the industry. I love the people. So the private equity path gave me the opportunity to still be the CEO, still run it, still make my decisions, but they had the capital to support me behind me to go out there and do the other acquisitions that I wanted to do.
Yeah, and I had the exact same experience, which is that basically if a strategic, we did have 2 strategic offers, I would have been like the VP of sales, right, at the organization, no real control, really couldn't be part of the strategy growing, and it would have been a much larger organization. Whereas with private equity, my company was going to be the platform, and we were going to acquire, go out and grow and build. And so that's why I felt like it was really a no-brainer. I mean, it's an easy decision that at that phase of where we were in the business and wanting to grow and scale and what our objectives were, private equity made more sense.
So going into it, did you already have your scorecard? Like, you wanted to be a platform company, you wanted more skin in the game and to be the president of a bigger, what was your scorecard going into it mindset-wise?
I'll go first. I mean, look, I think because it was a family business, number one was absolutely about culture. Like, we wanted to make sure that it was going to be good for the employees also. And especially since I knew I was staying as CEO. But yes, right after that, it was that I was going to be CEO, that it's going to be, growth oriented. Because I think, that there are some companies out there, private equity, that get that rap of like, they just come in and cut costs, right? They change the company completely. So we really wanted to make sure we partnered with private equity companies that had demonstrated they've kind of scaled family businesses while maintaining the culture, taking care of the people, right? So that was very important to me. And then, of course, that they had a track record of actually growing. Not just, hey, look, what's your strategy? But they were going to bring some value addition to the boardroom and then go out and do acquisitions and scale and really kind of take the company to the next level.
And how did you guys do due diligence on these companies, right? So they all promise you the moon, but you're right. Like, how do you test the culture? You can always do reference checks. And by the way, like, one of my big ones is, are they good at other acquisitions, right? Because they may make 2 or 3 really good ones, and then they bomb the next couple. You're stuck.
Yeah.
How do you do the due diligence?
So I'll tell you, I didn't do very good diligence.
Okay.
I didn't know what that meant, at the time. For me, my biggest thing was I've been doing this for 20 years. I've got 5 more companies that want to be acquired. I successfully did 3 of them, and you've seen that. And my biggest thing was the private equity firm that I partner with was very clear. They weren't entering the business. And we all agreed on that. Hey, Sonny, you run your business. We're going to support you. You're going to have some, a board of directors that you're going to report to. Like, all the boxes checked that way. Like, I can still continue to do what I do. I'll continue to prove out my numbers and make sure that you guys will see the growth, but just don't enter my business and let me run it. That was my diligence, and that was the promise that I was given, and that was the promise I had.
Yeah.
I would add, I had probably a little bit different experience in that case, which is that our iBanker, got us a lot of offers. So we had approximately 15 private equity offers and 2 strategic offers. And so what I did with that phase was I actually talked to some of the portfolio company CEOs of the private equity company and said, look, just tell me what it's like to work with these guys. Do they build the business? Like, do they invest? Do they cut costs?
Yeah.
Did they do what they said they were going to do when you were in my, what's it been like? And I think that it came pretty clear, because you might think that, okay, well, you're only going to get good references.
Yeah.
CEOs that are frustrated with their private equity companies,
they're
you
gonna
can read it pretty
dirty,
quickly. Like, oh, they changed this, or they don't listen to me, or blah, blah, blah. So, I had some really good, I would say, like, CEO interviews that made me feel comfortable with my decision.
So what did they bring to the table other than they can stroke a big check for an acquisition that you couldn't do? What did they bring to the table that you were like, this is great?
Well, I'll tell you, post-acquisition of my company, I got on the inside minds of what private equity guys think.
Right.
From the board to the financials. Like, I learned so much over the course of those 2 years of the way private equity views the world. And it's crazy, but it works.
Yeah.
When they talk about financials, they talk about financial engineering and how they show the numbers. Like, I was inside of a matrix of spreadsheets that I generally am not.
Yeah.
And from an operator perspective, right, that we've been building a business that I've done for 20 years, and then I couple that with the financial piece of it, and I saw how those two came together and what I needed to do to build value for our people, our employees, our shareholders, the private equity firm, and everyone across the board. It clicked to me to see that connection, which I would never have seen before. So they taught me a lot of how to think about building value in a business versus I was always just how do I build and grow and do amazing things, but tie it to shareholder return, tie it to financial return, and tie it to the long-term longevity of the business. That's something I never had.
I would add that they really help you professionalize. So many family businesses, even ones that I coach and advise today, right? They don't have, let's say, very deep financial functions. So same with us, we had like a bookkeeper, and my dad would sign
most
the checks.
companies do,
right? We didn't have a CFO or a controller or any of those kind of things. And so private equity really helped us kind of get that better financial structure in place. And then they just help you scale yourself, essentially. I mean, many entrepreneurs, right? They wear 6 hats, they do so many different things, and that's great, right? Until it's not, because now they want to take a vacation and they can't, right? Or they want to take, do something else with their life, and now they realize the business is too dependent on them. Private equity really helps you essentially scale yourself and kind of build a few different layers. Now, these are all things that, frankly, as family businesses, we all should be doing anyway.
Right.
But private equity kind of gives you that confidence because it's someone else's money, effectively. I mean, it's partially your money because you have X amount of shares in the company still, but it's a bigger part of their money. And so you're kind of working with house money a little bit, and they just give you that little bit of confidence that you need. I mean, look, if I had to do it again, would I have maybe taken on debt? Who knows?
Who knows, right.
But they certainly helped me kind of just feel empowered to go out and grow the business.